Oh my gosh, I had this so well planned you wouldn't believe it, and then I couldn't find the icon to take that background off. Well, all good plans, man. It sounded good in the beginning, right? Like it was going to just all happen. It was going to be great, and then like always, he messed up. But anyway, thank you for being here. Welcome to live stream number 94, September 28th, 2022. I hope my American friends had a good Thanksgiving, and of course, our Canadian friends had a Thanksgiving long, long ago in October. But here we are together again on a Monday night, and I am, as always, really glad that you're here. And this is, as you know, a very special evening. So we have our friend Gord from GP Outdoors joining us. He's back in the green room, or the orange room as we like to call it, and he'll be coming out here to talk with us in just a moment. If it's your first time here, though, on the live stream, if you've never been here before, make sure you say hi in the comments in the live chat. We want to welcome you here tonight. Also, if you enjoy the live stream at any point, give it a thumbs up. We always like to have that. And also let us know, let me know, let the live chat viewers know how you found the channel. Was it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, now on TikTok as well? So make sure that if you use any of those platforms, you follow along, search for me on there, and we can have just as much fun on all those other platforms. So we'll be talking about tractors and gardening and projects, life in the country, life outdoors. I'm sure Gord's going to talk about firewood because he does so much firewood work. We'll be talking about our B2601 and the LX2610 and all other kind of tractors. We're not just biased to Kubota here. Just because everything's orange doesn't mean we're biased to Kubota. We have a lot of folks who have John Deere and Mahindra and TYM and all kind of brands, and we are not biased. I just talk about the Kubota because that's what I have. If I get a different tractor, I'll talk about that one. So, and later we'll be doing a sticker giveaway. I'll be ready tonight to give you the sticker giveaway. So that's always fun. And while we're chatting tonight with Gord, if you have a question, post it in the live chat and type it like this. Write the word question followed by your question. I like it all caps like that, and then we might see it a little easier. So appreciate that. And as far as the live chat, let me look back because my goodness, there's a ton of people here tonight. I want to say hello to Manisto Key and Mikey0011 and Chris over there at the Watershed Overlook. Keith is here. Twin Brooks, our friend Ross, Just Cade's Day Farm, Chev Head Ed was here early on. Good to see you, my friend. And of course, our good friend David from RCAF Polar Express, who's always such a great supporter. So many other people here. There's Brock from Rock Hill Farm. Good to see you, Brock. And Brutal Bob is in the house. Good to see you, Brutal Bob. And Herb. And gosh, so many other. Hello, Ricky Ventures. I almost called you Vicky there. Ricky Ventures. Vicky Rentures. Anyway, good to see you. And John is here from Britterbit Will Do. See, we're not biased. Maybe just a little. But again, we have Kubota, so that's what we talk about. They're all good. That's what I say. Yeah, so welcome. Again, I'm really glad you're here. We're going to get right into our conversation because we don't have a whole lot of time. If you're new to the live stream, I only do this for 1 hour on Monday night. We try to wrap up by 8 p.m. Sometimes we go over if the conversation is just that riveting, but I like to respect your time. I like to respect the time of our guest, and we try to wrap up by 8 p.m. So that's what we're going to try to do tonight because you may have other things to do. You may have shows to watch. You might have recorded Yellowstone last night and you have to watch it tonight. Who knows? Good show, by the way. Hey, Linda and BJ and Robert. I could just sit here tonight and read comments. How would that be? I'll just keep saying hi to people. So, what else? Anything else before we? No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think we're ready to. Bring our friend on. Gord joined us about maybe a year or more ago, and we talked about his channel and stuff like that. So it's been a while, and one of his latest videos, actually it was his latest video, he posed the question about storing your equipment, your tractor outdoors. Should you, shouldn't you? What are the dangers of doing so? I was going to say pros and cons. I don't think there are any pros to storing your equipment outdoors, but is it really bad to do that? And I thought that's an interesting topic. So I reached out to Gord and I said, would you like to join me Monday night? We can talk about some of the feedback that you got. We can talk about it in the live chat, see what people think. And, you know, it would make a good topic. So he said, sure, that'd be fun. I think that's what he said. I think he said, that would be fun, Ed. So yeah, we'll talk about that. And of course, you have questions for Gord. I will, again, I am merely the facilitator here, so I'll do my best to keep things moving. All right, so if you don't know Gord, his channel is GP Outdoors. I think we all know Gord, though. So, but here's a little bit of a recap of the GP Outdoors channel, and then we will bring Gord on as soon as this wraps up.
Well, good morning and welcome back to Central Ontario. It's another gorgeous morning here, and apparently it's going to be a scorcher again this afternoon.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to GP Outdoors. Well, good morning. Welcome back to GP Outdoors. Welcome to GP Outdoors. These chains weigh 60 pounds apiece. That's going to add a little more weight for the winter too. Another benefit. As you can see today, it's an exciting day for the channel. We just picked up a brand new LX 2610 cab model. Wow, 50,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for your support. A big burning question which I've had repeatedly on the channel is why I got rid of my B2601. Hands down, I love that tractor. It was a good, solid, quality built, reliable tractor, but it was an open station tractor. And being Canadian, you know, we're born and bred to handle winter. But I have to be honest, clearing a mile-long driveway through the forest, sometimes 2 or 3 times in a week, in these harsh Canadian winters, I realized last year it was time to start looking for a cab and a little bit of heat. In the meantime, hey, stop looking at me. Just scoot off the road for a minute. That's it, just for a minute. Really wanted to thank my neighbor Guy. He was awesome. We had a great week together. At least I did, and I learned a ton of things. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers. 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 And thank you so much again for all your support. Means a lot. Cheers.
Hey, it's Gord Potter from GP Outdoors. How are you, my friend?
Wow. Well, Ed, thank you very much. You're too kind. I had to laugh because, geez, it looks like I aged a lot in the last couple of years doing YouTube.
Have you? Well, you've aged in one way. 50,000 subscribers, that's in the rearview mirror. Congratulations on being over 65,000 subscribers now.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good to see that. Very exciting.
Yeah,
hey,
geez,
thanks
you
for
must
joining
have
us
done a
tonight.
lot of work there. My goodness, digging right back into the early videos. I don't know how you do it, Ed, but
the old archives. Well, I have a whole department, archiving department here, and you know, we put them to work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well,
you know,
good evening to everybody as well. I can see the comments, but I cannot comment. So I just wanted to say hello to everybody and thank you so much for hanging out with Ed and me tonight.
well, you can comment. You can do it verbally. You can.
Oh, that's true.
Right. You don't need to type in there. You can comment live, and
Great.
I don't know any big words. I was going to say something like auditorially or something, but anyway, you can talk. You can reply and talk.
Well, thank you, kind sir. Good stuff.
So, if you do see any comments that you want to pull out and mention, you know, we can pull them up on the screen. I see that Neil's here. Hey, Neil. Neil was a guest here on the show at one time, not too long ago.
Yeah. Hey, Neil.
Good to see you, Neil, and Caden is here from Caden's Outdoor Life. See that? Hey, Gord from Caden. So anyway, that's what we can do. We can call up comments and whatnot. So anyway,
good stuff.
I am really glad you're here. Let me tell you, I so much appreciate that you.
Thank you.
That you responded in the positive to being on tonight's live stream. It means a lot to me. I always love talking with you, and I really do appreciate it. So, as you might be heard in the intro, I want to talk about your latest video. What you know, what kind of feedback you got? You know, were you criticized terribly for leaving your tractor outdoors, and what
No,
what kind of
no, not at
what
all.
what what kind of feedback you got, and then we can talk about anything else you want to talk about that we can fill the hour with. But I just thought this would be an interesting topic. So
Yeah, well, I've got tons of questions for you, Ed, by the way, just so you
do you
know.
now?
But yeah, if you want to start off with that, yeah, absolutely never criticized at all. And as I said in the video, I never get critical comment. We have great communities, both of us, and I'm very grateful for that. You just get a lot of folks that I think are concerned saying you shouldn't be leaving that tractor out. So I just thought I got it again, and I was like, people will say it, but they never explain why.
Yeah,
And you know
yeah.
me, I'm not very mechanical. I mean, if it wasn't for Guy down the road, I'd be in big trouble, right? I mean, I think we all know that.
Good
But
old guy.
yeah, I got some great feedback from people and a lot of comments that make a lot of sense as to why you don't leave it sitting out in the sun or out in the snow all year. So for me, I think what might have been a little bit not unfair, but you folks know that I have a covered shed in the back, and that shed is actually on the north side or the north end of my cottage. So it virtually never sees sunlight. And the
Right.
tractor always sits underneath that open shed. However, it is open. So if it's negative 35 outside, it's negative 35 outside, or if it's positive 35. But yeah, if you wanted to get into it, I made a number of different kind of a summary of kind of the main comments that folks were recommending are reasons why you want to be careful with the tractor outside or your implements.
Did you make a spreadsheet, Gord? Be honest.
Well,
Is that a spreadsheet?
to be honest, it was handwritten.
Okay.
And it's in it's in short form, and so only I can read it.
Nice. Let me start by saying that you park your tractor undercover. It's
Yeah.
open, but it's undercover. Personally, I don't consider that outdoors. I think
Oh,
if it's
okay.
undercover,
Yeah.
in my book, you're protected from the sun, you're protected from the rain and the elements. I consider that parking it. I don't consider that parking it outdoors. I think of people who leave their
Yeah.
equipment like you and I both do with our implements because we don't have anywhere to put them. They sit out in the open. Sometimes, if I'm ambitious, I will tarp my wood chipper for the winter,
Right.
just so water doesn't run down
Ooh.
inside and cause rust and whatnot. But that to me is storing it outdoors. But I think if you're undercover,
Yeah.
to me that is more than sufficient. But
Well, thank you, good sir. And I do want to get back to your tarp issue because that also came up several times, including my neighbor's opinions on that. But yeah, you're right. That tractor, as you know, doesn't fit under that shed. So the hood and the blower or anything on the front loader always sticks out, which is
right,
why you'll see in the wintertime when I go around the back, every once in a while, I'll show you me cleaning all the snow off of the hood and off of the blower.
yeah,
But yeah, in large part, it sits underneath. But there's actually one point that nobody made out of those 600 comments on that video, which I experienced last winter, which I wanted to bring up as well because nobody mentioned it.
tell us about it, Gord. Tell us.
Well, I like to keep the mystery alive until close to the end of the show.
Make a video about it.
There you go. Yeah. But hey, so a couple of things. Did you want me to get into it, or did you have some other thoughts or questions first?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was thinking too, your LX2610 has a cab.
It does.
So that to me, that's very much like a car or a truck, which I leave my truck outside. I don't have a garage
Yeah.
for that. So you're to me the delicate parts of a tractor would be the light switch, the key switch, all the electronics. And
Right.
I think if you have a cab, you're in pretty good shape there too. So, but these are just my opinions. I want to hear what the viewers had to say. So I'm going to turn it back over to you. And yeah, tell me what your thoughts are, and whatever you're interested in sharing, and we can always skip around if you have any of those amazing questions for me.
All right, sounds like a plan. So in large part, and again, all of these things are summarized and generalized, but pretty much in large part, pretty much everybody said it was okay to leave it outside because it's a tractor. It's meant to be used outside. However, the kickers, which were the primary points, was rubber, vinyl, plastic, your hydraulic hoses, seals, plastic parts, these kind of things, which will get subject to UV rays and over time will crack, dry out, crack, and need to be replaced. But as many people said, it'll take years and years for that to happen. And that's assuming you've got it left out, right out in the open all the time, which, in all fairness, I don't.
Right.
Mine's pretty sheltered. It's not on the south side. It's on the north side. It barely sees sun when it does. But that was the main key points is your paint will fade.
Your rubber, your hydraulic hoses, your tires, those kind of things will dry out after a lot of exposure to UV rays. So some folks suggested tarping it. And I want to get back to the tarping issue because that's an interesting one. A few
There's some
folks
controversy
also,
there too, isn't there?
no, yeah, there is indeed,
Yeah.
actually,
Uh-huh.
because you may recall back in the early days, I used to tarp my implements and I don't anymore. And there's a
Tarpgate.
good reason for that. Tarpgate. I think we're creating our own. But another thing which a number of people pointed out is that you'll notice that when you drive by a Kubota dealer, all of their tractors and all of their implements are all sitting out in their parking lots all year. Now, over the last few years, there's none left. But over your regular seasons or your normal periods of time, they've got equipment sitting out there, whether they're excavators or tractors or skid steers or whatever it is they're selling, and all their implements sit outside on their lot. They don't sit inside.
True.
All right. Shall I pause for any thoughts, questions, comments, otherwise before I move on?
I think just a dramatic pause would be appropriate right now.
All right. Or a thoughtful pause like this.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Right.
Okay, and
All right.
action. What do we got in the comments? Implements are outside. Yeah, and this is what I heard from a lot of folks. Implements are outside. A lot of stuff is out. And absolutely, it does make sense to me that you are going to suffer things that are plastic or rubber, et cetera, from drying out over time. And that's what a lot of folks said is it'll take years, which may be true or may not be true, depending
You'll
on
have a
the
new
climate.
tractor by then.
Well, I'm hoping so. I was actually just talking to the guys last week, telling them I wanted an MX. They laughed. They said I needed a few more acres. And by the way, my wife is watching tonight, Carol. So I didn't just say that, and I'm not buying a new tractor.
Hi, Carol.
Maybe.
Carol, Christmas is right around the corner, Carol.
Carol,
If you're listening,
right.
Carol.
Yeah, indeed. But
That was
that was
MX. That's what he said.
yeah, MX would be nice. But like you said, I don't have anywhere near enough property to warrant that. But man, they're really cool tractors. So if you've ever got a chance to sit in one and
I have
play
not.
around with it, oh, you got to have. It's gorgeous. So talking about weather, one comment that stood out to me is one of the subscribers said, it also depends on where you live in the climate. And he lives on the West Coast. So he said they've got a ton of humidity, a lot of moisture in the air. It's going to make a big difference with rust and those kind of things. And if you think about folks that live in Alberta, like Calgary, et cetera, they have a very, very dry climate. In other words, if you're in Ontario and it's negative 15 outside, you're freezing because we've got a lot of humidity. You go to Calgary in negative 15, you can pretty much walk outside with a t-shirt. That's how dramatic the difference is in how cold you feel or how much moisture is in the air. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
Right.
You see Dave's comment? Yeah, I might be.
You're in trouble?
No, I swear I'm not buying a new tractor. And I think one of my daughters might also be watching tonight. So I just want to say hi to both of them. I miss you really bad. I'm up here by myself
affair.
the last few days.
They could have joined you. They could be tooling around in the background there. We'd love to welcome them.
Well, thank you, sir. What else do we have there? Pretty much that. I want to talk about electronics was brought up as well. If you've got electronics, you're out in the cold. And to be honest, whether it was the B2601, which, as you know, is analog dash and everything, the LX2610 has an electronic dash. Right. And even though it's sitting outside in negative 30, negative 35 degree weather in the worst of the winter, January, February, the dashboard or any of the electronic functions has never failed me. And I know it's only been a couple of winters, but even though it's sheltered, it's still that cold in there, and they still work for me. So
yeah,
so far that's been good.
Well, there's a comment from
Neil.
Neil has a comment. You pay for a machine shed whether you build it or not. So that's what I've been told. Justified building. Yeah, that's true. If your equipment doesn't last as long, then you're buying equipment, so you can buy a shed. And
good point.
Linda, I know what she's doing. She's a ghostwriter for her husband, giving me a hard time about Kubotas. I know what you're doing there, Linda and Ed. I know what's going on.
There we go. Yeah. So either way, at the end of the day, you've seen the tractor. It is primarily sheltered, so that's probably why I haven't seen any paint fade over the last few years, whether it was on the 2601 or on this one. One big thing which didn't come up is you folks may remember as I came out of the winter this year, I had a hydraulic leak in my shed. I could see it, and I pointed it out on one of the videos, and then I ended up doing my video. Yeah. So Guy's estimation of that is because at some point during the late winter, I probably didn't warm the tractor up enough before I began heading up the driveway blowing snow. And he believes that the rubber seal on my hydraulic filter cracked or lifted. Because that's actually where I found, if you remember on that video, that's where I found the leak dripping.
Yeah.
And he said it was most likely because I was running it. As you know, I know there are people that say they don't take their tractors out in anything less than -15 or -20. And from my perspective, it's a workhorse. And whether it's -35 outside or it's +35, if I need to do something, I think it's more a case of how long you let it warm up before you take it out and you start running equipment or running hydraulics. And I think, and what he said to me is that there was probably a point where I had started it up and not warmed it up enough before I had it out down the driveway. And I guess that seal was frozen, maybe just the rubber ring, right? Because that's what it was dripping out of. And once I replaced that filter, did my oil change and everything was fine.
Yeah. Maybe it was just a defective seal on that filter. I don't know. I'm not going to disagree with the mechanic, but
well, I'm going with that. It was a defective filter. It wasn't me.
And that was an easy fix, thank goodness, too.
Yeah, and plus I needed to. It was, when I got into the spring, it was time for my 200 hours. So
let's pause for a question, Gord.
Sure, you bet.
From BJ here, since
BJ,
has a question about driving in the bush. Do you feel a little tipsy, especially with the cab? Depends on what you're drinking, I guess, that day, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that's before Husky Bob and Guy and I go back in the workshop at the end of the day, or before or after. Yeah, I do 100%. It's a complete difference between the B2601, but you get used to it. Like anything else, you take your time, as I did, and you'll see in a video that I'll release in the next few days, you'll see I'm actually in the forest and I'm digging rocks out because they're so big, they're tilting me too much, and I'm uneasy while I'm trying to grapple stuff. So you'll see I actually use the grapple to dig those boulders out of my way and move them to the side so I don't have to keep running over them. But definitely, especially when I first got the cab, very scary because although you get used to it in any tractor, the feeling you get is magnified because it's like your whole cab tilts further than what you felt it did with the open station B2601.
Right. Now but the track of the LX is probably wider than the 2601. The 2601 is only like 4 feet wide. It's really narrow.
Yeah,
I know you had put spacers on that one to put those 60-pound chains on, but I don't have spacers on mine.
Oh, well, if I remember correctly, that B2601 was 49 inches width, outside width, tire to tire. And I believe the LX 2610 is about 53 inches. So it's not much wider. However, I did put wheel spacers on this as well because I needed the chains. But I put OEM spacers. They're only 1 3/8 inches on each side. So does it add a lot? Maybe. But as you know, that B2601 is manufactured to be a very narrow tractor compared to others. It's part of its design. So you're definitely going to get that tilt. And especially when you're in the forest, you've got rocks, trees, all kinds of undulations, and it's always swinging side to side. And you'll see that in the video in a few days because I actually took a picture out front to show you how dramatic the front end is tilting side to side just driving through the trail. Yeah.
My dealer had I think it was a B2401, which are a little bit more rare. That's the gear drive version of the 2601, 2301. And this was actually called a narrow model. It was some kind of, but it had these little tires, and it looked like you could just cow tip the thing right over. It was ridiculous looking, but it was actually made to be that way. I thought they just put small tires on it to ship it, but this one was a very specific
that was
model.
The tires. So speaking of tires, little fun fact for you, Ed. Did you know that if you need a new tire, that it's cheaper to buy a tire and a rim from your dealer than it is to just buy the tire?
Is that right?
True story. I'd never lie to you. You know that.
I believe you.
Yeah, because actually the dealers,
why?
When they get the tires in, they come over with a rim. They're on a rim.
Right. Interesting. But what about if you buy a tire from a tire dealer?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to answer that question. All I do know is you buy it from the dealer, it'll come with a rim, and it'll be cheaper than if you ask them just to buy the tire itself.
Right.
I'd throw that in there. That was something to think about.
Good to know.
So, hey, did you want to talk about tarping, or do we have any questions here first?
Let's see if there's any questions.
All righty.
We'll take a look through here. Here's a question. Well, this I'm a little behind here because I think you kind of answered this. The other big controversial question: do you let the tractor idle for long periods of time when it's cold? You talked about that with the oil leak. When I run mine now I don't have cold like you do. You know, we might get down in the upper 20s in a cold snap, but you know, when it's cold, I'll start mine up. I'll let it run for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll start to move. But other than that, I don't let it idle for 10 minutes at a time. Now, I don't know what you do up there, and
well, I'm happy to answer. Even in the summertime,
please do.
I think even in the summertime, I'll let it warm up for at least 10 to 15 minutes, even in the hottest day in the summer.
Really?
In the wintertime, if you look in the manual, there's a chart in your manual, whether it was the 2601 or the LX 2610, and it will tell you based on the temperature outside how long you're supposed to warm the tractor up. I use that as a guide, but basically in the wintertime, anytime it's below 0 degrees, I get up, I put my coffee on. I know that sounds like cliche, but honest to goodness, I do. That's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, other than think of my lovely wife and my kids, because I know they're watching. Right. I put the coffee on. While it's pumping out, I go outside, I plug in my block heater, and I let the block heater sit. The colder it is, I'll actually let it sit with the block heater for up to 2 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I'll go out, unplug it, I'll start the tractor, and in the coldest days, I'll let that thing idle for half an hour, 40 minutes before I go in and start operating it.
How about that?
Yeah.
And that's, in the summertime, that's as per the owner's manual?
No, it's a little bit more conservative than the owner's manual. The owner manual will say, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on the weather. For me, I just know that I want to make sure that all that hydraulic fluid is warm. Everything's warm. It's running well before I put it under load.
Oh, well,
yeah.
I should read the manual.
Yes, Ross. Yes, my snow melted. Surprisingly, it did. And in fact, we were supposed to get a whole bunch last night and it didn't come. We got a little bit today, and I assume that either tomorrow or the next day we'll get some more. But yeah, weather's been all over the place for sure.
But you know it's coming, right? You know it's coming. Is your snowblower at the ready? Are you mounted up? And
it's at the ready, but I'm very fortunate. I came really close to putting it on the tractor last week. I chose not to, and I'm glad I didn't, because all the snow we got melted. We actually had 12 degrees and sunshine yesterday. Unbelievable. So very happy, because that first year I got the B2601, which was 2017. I remember I was so excited, and you're a little jump in the gun. And I remember right when November hit, I was like, that's it, loader's off, I'm putting the blower on. And then I sat there with the blower for almost a month before I actually was able to use it, which of course meant I couldn't use the tractor because I wasn't going to pull everything back off again. So
that's a process to put that thing on there. So,
yeah, it is indeed.
Hey Siri, how many degrees Fahrenheit is 12 degrees Celsius? Oh, I have my ringer off. It's 53.6 degrees. Thank you.
Thank you, kind sir. Excellent.
Kind Madam Siri.
Yeah, and a few folks have talked about block heaters. It's a must-have out here.
Yeah,
I've had a block heater on each. You got to have one, because I actually tried more so for a YouTube video back when I had the 2601. I tried a couple of mornings when it was really, really cold. I can't remember the exact temperature, but the tractor just would not start.
Even with the glow plugs, it wouldn't go.
Not glow plugs or anything. It was so cold out I had to plug the block heater in to get it to start. So I just similarly here, it's kind of a must-have up here. Everybody's got one.
Years ago, I had a John Deere 2020 and did not have glow plugs. Maybe it did at one time, but not when I had it. And I had a block heater that I had the type that was basically you put it in the water line in the radiator hose.
Yeah.
And that heated the water throughout the system. And I left that in the wintertime. I would leave that plugged in all the time, if we were getting snow overnight, whatever, and it worked really well. But that tractor would never start in the cold without that. Sometimes it took a little shot of ether to get it going. But talk about controversial.
Well, you know what I learned this last week? Thank goodness once again for my neighbor Guy. I have, I have a backup generator, and I actually have a backup portable generator to the other generator when it fails.
Uh-huh.
Well, I found out the hard way why it has that shut-off valve for the gas,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
never shut it off. Well, I found out why you're supposed to shut it off this week. Apparently, which I didn't know, the gas somehow makes, and I don't know this technically, it somehow continues to filter its way through the engine and ends up in your oil reservoir. So I called Guy. It took him about a minute and a half to figure it out. I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't start. I undid the fill plug where the dipstick is, and it almost shot itself out under pressure, and it just
Wow.
kept shooting out and just oozing out because it was full of gas. So now I know why you're supposed to shut the gas off when you're not using it.
So gas gets into the crankcase.
It gets down right into the oil pan and fills up the oil pan somehow.
So I would think that what that means is your carburetor, maybe your carburetor float is not shutting off the fuel supply. The fuel supply runs back into the intake and then drips down past the cylinder into your oil pan. Interesting.
Well, I'll agree with you because I don't know any better. All I know is the gas was filled up, and I ended up having to empty it out, put in new oil, fired it up. It works great now.
You're probably lucky it didn't start.
Yeah, possibly.
Really?
Yeah, but it's
Really?
funny because when you do have a mechanical mind, like Guy, honest to goodness, it wasn't a minute and a half. He had already figured it out. He said, "Undo the oil, the drain plug,"
Wow.
and that's all it took. And he said, "Yep, empty the oil, fill it up with new."
We got to
said,
get
"Run it."
you and Guy together on here.
Yeah, well, he's a little shyer than I am.
Is he?
Yeah,
Well, he
very
does
much
well
so.
for you. It'd be good to
Yeah,
have him on
he's-
here, though. We had
very fortunate.
a wintertime suggestion here from Linda the Ghostwriter again. It's a good idea to disconnect your batteries when you're not using your equipment because the mice could chew through the wire. And, that's a big problem in the winter. If you're not using your equipment, it doesn't take long for mice to find a nice little pocket to build a nest. And then also in the spring, you've got birds who come in and start to build birds' nests. So it's a good point. If your equipment's going to sit for probably even more than a few days, it's good to do that. I don't do that, but
Well, that was the second biggest answer I would say out of those comments was mice infestation, leaving the tractor outside versus inside.
right.
By far, the number one reasons were UV rays. The second runner-up was mice and infestation in the tractor, which, knock on wood, I've never had so far.
That's a big problem for those of us with RVs, mice, and I've been lucky with that as well, not to have problems with that. But they can destroy some things. So tell me about the Tarpulon controversy there. Gord.
Yes, so Tarpgate. So question for all these folks
Tarpgate
online.
22.
Yeah, that's right. Should you tarp your implements through the winter, or should you leave them untarped? To tarp or not to tarp? That is the question.
That is the question.
Yeah.
What's the answer?
Bottom line is the majority of folks mentioned that who did mention it said not to tarp. And that's actually what Guy told me years ago, because I used to think you should tarp it. If you've got an engine, like you'll notice on the Easton Made, we always put a tarp or something over the Briggs & Stratton. Or if you've got a power wash or anything with an engine, you want to keep it tarped and covered so moisture doesn't get down and infiltrate your parts, so to speak. But as it pertains to equipment, it seems to be the general consensus is tarping it just traps moisture under it, especially through the winter. And that's why I actually stopped tarping, is because Guy told me to stop tarping, because he said you're just going to encourage rust, because you'll get the moisture, especially through the winter when you've got swings in temperature, but the moisture can't exit quick enough. It kind of gets trapped under there. And I did notice, Ed, that when you go to some of the hardware stores and stuff, they do sell tarps that say they breathe.
Yeah.
But Guy's not a big fan. He just said don't tarp anymore. Leave them out.
Here's my take on that, if you're interested.
I am, my friend.
All right. So my tarps are naturally vented because they have holes in them, a lot of them. So I get it. Like, I understand that.
Did you buy them that way, or you're just
I bought
saying?
them that. I made them. I made them myself. But I've heard that, and I get it. It makes sense that it could trap the moisture. So my philosophy is to not really tarp it, like don't wrap it tight, like you're wrapping something up for the winter, but just tarp it and make it so that the maybe the air can get up from underneath.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want water, again, with my wood chipper is the primary one that I tarp, because you've got the chute there and it acts like a funnel, and I don't want the water running down into that and rusting parts out. So I don't know. I don't tarp everything, but that one I do like to put a tarp over and put a bungee around it and keep it
All
covered
right.
up. I don't
I just
know.
have. Well, it's funny because if you look, Davey from RCAF Polar Express said ventilation is vital. I want to know what porn oil is, though.
PORN,
Yeah, I thought this
not
was a family channel,
not
Dave.
corn oil.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Davey, can you clarify, please? And if you have a website, let us know.
I wish you had the control to bring the questions up on screen, because I get lost there, not knowing where they are.
Yeah, perhaps it's corn oil he meant to say, but
It may be.
I found it kind of humorous. That's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, ventilation is a big deal for sure. The other thing too is when you tarp stuff, you've kind of created a little sanctuary for mice and rodents and things to live under, right? That's the other.
That's
thing.
true too. You give them nice cover to live under.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So apparently it's not corn oil. I'll just leave it at that.
okay.
Oh, Davey.
Yeah.
So
There's
hey, I
a-
had a few
there's a kind of-
questions for yourself, sir.
Well, let's take Chris's question here. It's kind of personal, Gord. Just be warned.
alrighty.
It's kind of
Yeah.
personal. He's talking about all the time you spend out playing with the boys.
Well, I'll tell you, Chris, how I do it. And I shouldn't be talking about this because I'm pretty sure Carol's watching right now.
You still watching, Carol?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she is. Well, I'll find out later for sure. But what I do is when I get home, I do my rock and roll duty. You know, I take care of the dishes. I look after stuff around the house. I make her dinners constantly. You know, do the dishes, take care of the property. I kind of make sure that she knows that I care and love for her, and that I greatly appreciate her letting me head up north, especially when unfortunately she's still working part-time. And I sort of feel guilty about that, but yeah, I try my best to.
But only for a second.
Yeah, hang on. Yep. Yeah, I'm done now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she's wonderful, and I got to be honest, I'm very fortunate because she's put up with me for almost 30 years. And
Nice.
not the
Well,
easiest guy to
clearly
live with.
you're a good guy. You made a whole video about making soup for your wife when she was sick. I remember that one. So
Yeah, that's right.
Gord's
Yeah, I
special
remember.
special COVID soup. I remember that
Yeah,
one.
that's right. Yeah, it's still good. It's still a classic to this day.
Yeah. Excellent. So you had a question for me.
I
You're
do.
gonna
I
put
have
me
a
on
few
the spot?
questions.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Are you ready for action, Ed?
I wish you would have given these to me ahead of time. I'm not good on the spot like this.
And thank you, Chris. I saw your comment there. Yeah, Mike, he's taught me a lot, actually, a lot to do with patience too. Anyway, so a couple of things for you, my good friend. So your security cameras, you've had them for a couple of weeks now. What do you think of
Yes.
them, honestly?
Honestly, I like them, but I have not spent a whole lot of time diving into the menus. I did just find out yesterday how I can. The cameras have notifications on the app, which is nice.
Yeah.
A lot. Now I do have Ring cameras as well because I've had those for several years, and you get a notification. The Ring camera system to me is really well designed because the little voice comes up and says, "There's motion at your front door, or motion at your driveway, whatever." That's really nice. Although it can be annoying, but you can turn that off. So these cameras, the OnWote system, you do get a notification on your phone, but it just gives a little ding and says OnWote sent you a notification. Then you have to open it and see what it was.
Okay.
But I did find out, which I'm very happy about, that I can turn off individual notifications. So, for instance, I have a camera at my back door, and that's the door we use all the time. So
Okay.
I don't want that notification going off every 10 minutes when somebody's coming in and out of the house. So I have that notification turned off. But I've got a camera facing the driveway. I've got a camera facing the front door. So those notifications I leave on, so I'll know if somebody comes up the lane, somebody comes to the front door. So I like that a lot. What I do like about the camera system, and I mentioned this on the video, is that the video is recorded locally on the 2 terabyte hard drive in the NVR, the network video recorder. So I have all the footage being recorded 24/7 from all the cameras. I can access it with my phone very easily. I can scrub through. It has even though it records all the time, it still has motion sensing. So it'll sense the difference between a car and a person. And
Okay,
on the
wow.
little timeline, it'll show you like a little color bar, like a purple line means that a person was detected. A little red line
Okay.
means a vehicle was detected. So you can kind of scrub to that point to find where that event occurred.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and with that again, there's no annual fees. There's no subscription. You're not you buy you don't buy it. You download the app, which is free, and you're not paying for anything once you have it all set up. So far, I like it. I still have to install some more cameras. I've got to run some longer lines, but I like the idea of a hardwired camera system
Yeah.
a little better than the wireless, because the wireless sometimes underperforms, and that's just, I think, the nature of wireless. So
Okay.
I like it. I'm happy with it. And I plan to maybe do a little follow-up after I have had it longer and have installed more cameras. The camera angle is not as wide as the Ring cameras that I have. So I do wish the camera angle was a little bit wider, or that you could adjust that. So
Yeah.
these have to be placed maybe a little further away than the Ring cameras.
Okay.
But
Yeah. And is the resolution good?
the resolution is good. They say they're 4K. I don't know. It doesn't seem crystal clear to me, but it is better quality than the Ring cameras. They're a nice, pretty big
Okay.
lens. So far, so good.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend them to anybody who's thinking about hardwired cameras. But it is
Okay.
it's a little bit tedious installing them, because
Yeah, exactly.
there's
I
some work
wanted to
involved.
also mention tonight, if in the hopes that it would make you feel better or comforted, but I saw the video the video where you damaged the back tailgate of your pickup truck twice. And I want you to
Twice.
know that you're not alone. I was loading something in my brother's trailer 2 summers ago. I don't know why, but my brother disconnected the tongue from the receiver on the back of my pickup, and we were loading stuff through the tailgate on his trailer. And of course, there was nothing to hold the trailer. So we walked up with this big piece of furniture. And as we went down the back, the tongue of the
Lift it up.
trailer came right up and scraped and dug right through the middle of my back tailgate to the top.
Wow.
So when I saw your video a week and a half ago, the first thing that came to my mind is when we did that, because of course there's this just big gash right up the middle of my tailgate. So I just wanted you to know that you're not alone. I think
Thank
we
you.
all do stuff like that from time
That
to
makes me
time.
feel a little better. And again, I wasn't even going to have it fixed the first time, because I just assumed that there'd be a $500 deductible or $1,000, whatever it was. So I thought, well, I'll just learn to live with it. But then my lovely wife called the insurance company and found out that it was covered. It was only a $150 deductible. Somehow,
great.
I don't know how it worked out, but so that was like a bonus. And also the body shop detailed the inside of the truck too. So
Nice.
that was worth the cost of the deductible right there. But
Yeah, for
I
sure.
just can't bring myself to file another claim. I can't do it. I just
No
can't do
way.
it.
Well, just wait a little while and then do it. Then you won't feel so bad.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe so.
Yeah.
But
Very good.
anyway, thank you. That does make me feel a little bit better to know that. Well,
Not
that
alone,
but
my
that was
friend.
but that wasn't your fault. That was your brother-in-law's fault.
Well, I'd like to blame it on my brother, but he's older than me, so it's kind of hard to do that.
You got to take it.
He always wins.
Got it. So let's look for
Yeah.
some other questions here, unless you have something else for me.
Well, I got lots for you, but
Oh.
yeah, let's see what other people have first.
That's well. There's a question about the recorder. How much storage time is on the recorder? I don't know, Chris, because that's obviously going to depend on how many cameras you're running. You know, my system came with 4 cameras. You can add up to 8 cameras. Obviously, the more cameras is going to reduce the amount of time that you can record, because it's going to write more information. So I had watched one video, and I think that this person had 4 or 6 cameras, and they said that it would record 7 days before starting to overwrite itself. So I don't know there's any easy answer for that. There's probably a formula, because it's 2 terabytes. I'm running 4 cameras. I don't know. Sorry,
Yeah.
Chris. I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's a good long while. Like if if you're gone for a few days and you notice something had happened, the footage should still be there, and you probably can open it up and drop a bigger hard drive in it. It's a
Right.
physical hard drive, so I'm sure it's easily upgradable. These things are not. I think somebody had said they're probably all made by the same company these days. I don't know if that's true or not, but what he's showing us, Gord, not all who wander are lost.
T-shirt my daughter makes.
Not all
I had to
who
get it
wander
in there
are
in case
lost.
she's watching.
Some of us are just looking for, is that firewood?
That's firewood.
Nice. I like it. Did she design that?
She did. She's
She
super
is
talented.
she
Yeah.
is super talented. I like it. Are those available at gpoutdoors.ca?
Why, thanks for asking, Ed. Yeah, there's not much left, though. I wanted to thank folks, especially on the call. People were super responsive, supportive. She's pretty much sold out. She's got a few large and a couple medium left, but everything else went very quickly and made her feel 10 feet tall. And I for the folks on the call tonight that helped her and supported her, I greatly appreciate it very, very much. She's awesome. She's super creative. Thanks.
She is. In fact, I have a classic here that not many people have left.
Oh, the
Remember
old
this
keychain
classic?
she made. Yeah.
Yes. I haven't
Thank
put
you.
it on my tractor. I should, but so.
Yeah.
But now that these are sold out and currently not in production.
That's right.
It's a
yeah.
classic.
But she might bring them back. A number of people lately have been asking for them. So I asked her if she'd be interested in sourcing some more out for maybe for next year because it's kind of nice to have that keychain. And I noticed Bob there is is reminding everybody that I pass out at the witching hour for me is coming up soon because I go to bed so early.
You can see it in your eyes.
I think so. That's why I wear these reflective glasses.
So to hide the eyes. So
You bet.
Awesome. Hey, we're going to do a giveaway before we leave tonight. Is that right?
That's an awesome idea. What would you suggest we give away tonight, my friend?
Well, I do have these stickers that are in high demand. I mean, everybody
nice.
likes stickers.
Excellent.
But I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can up the ante at all.
Well,
Whoa!
I have this fancy piece of merchandise called a chain locker. I actually like this thing.
Is that a chain locker? You're
So
just happy to
simple
see
and
me.
practical. Yeah, it's a chain locker, and I am happy to see you. But yeah, I'd love to give one away. I've got them in orange, black, and gray.
Wow, that's very
so
generous.
I'd love to give one away, whatever color somebody'd like, as I think I have all three in stock, and I like it a lot. It's so practical. You'd think somebody should have thought of this a long time ago, because I've got all my chains in here. So
Johnny, tell us about the chain locker. What is it? And
well, it's just a place to store all of your chainsaw chains, up to 20 inch. Actually, I've got my 25 inches in there too, because you just kind of fold them over at the end. They fit. It holds a ton of chains. I've got all of mine in there, and it's a nice place to store them away, and hopefully it'll make somebody's night. If you want to give one of those away, Ed,
Well,
I'm happy. I'd love to help out.
that is extremely generous. I don't know if Neil is still watching from Dig Drive DIY, but I remember his video when he went to the Equip Expo. He came home with a few of those. He bought those at the expo.
Nice.
Little did he know that he could possibly win one here tonight. So what are the rules of entry here for tonight, Gord? Because I know we can't be shipping these to around the world.
Yeah, excuse me. So I can only ship within continental USA and Canada. I'm not set up to ship elsewhere. So unfortunately, if there's anybody who's stayed up late in Australia or Germany or the UK, I apologize. I can't ship there. So it's for folks that are in the continental USA and Canada. Your choice of color, and Ed, I will let you spin the wheel.
That is very kind. And Neil is still here. So maybe Neil can win another one. That would be cool. So
Yeah.
Great. Well, I have to click off this screen, then I have to bring up another screen. So while I'm doing that, tell us what's in store for GP Outdoors going forward. Any new and exciting announcements that you can share, or any projects you have coming up? I know you've done a lot of collaborations with different log splitters and processors. So what can you share us that's not confidential?
There's actually some big news coming out of Kubota, which I can't tell you, but I think everybody's going to find out very soon. Second thing, which this is how I entice people to watch my channel. So there's some huge news coming out, but I can't tell you. Just keep watching.
Right.
The second thing is that Guy has decided to take on what I think is a very, very aggressive project over the coming future, and it's huge. But he's kind of determined. We went out. When you see a video this week, keep an eye out in the forest. You'll see a great big red sheet floating or flapping in the wind, and that's the only hint I can give you. But it's a big project. Yeah,
flapping
it's
in the wind,
forest,
in the forest,
hung in the forest, and it's flapping away in the wind in the background. Because I noticed I caught it in one of my shots. So if we end up going forward with that, that's going to be a huge project, and I'm not sure when it's going to start. But he's pretty excited about it. But it's going to be a big deal. Like it'll take a lot of work and a lot of effort, but definitely well worth it. It's kind of exciting. For me, I'll be back to snow blowing at some point when we get enough snow to do it, and I can't wait to get out there. It's just so pretty up here when you've got a blanket of white everywhere. So I always look forward to winter. And myself personally, no garage in the near future. Other things to look after in life. But one day I will have a huge garage. And on a garage note, so many folks have told me that when you build a garage, it's never big enough. No matter how big you think you want it, you build it bigger. So, neighbor Ralph down the road, you guys may remember throughout the summer, I gave you little snippets of him building his garage. I dropped in to see him today because I gave him my old ballast box from my B2601 because he's got a BX. Yeah. We went in. His garage looks beautiful. It's all finished. It's real pretty. Well done. He's finished the inside insulated. He's got his car lift in there and everything. And he turns to me literally within a minute of being in the garage. He looks at me and goes, "It's just not big enough." He just finished building it. And I just burst out laughing because so many folks on the channel said when you do decide to build that garage, whatever size you want it, make it bigger because it's never going to be big enough. And I looked in there. He had so much stuff in there already. He just looked at me and said, "It's nowhere near big enough."
I, too, am looking at a pole barn. As you know, I started with the tractor shed in the back, and we did get that finally concreted and we had the front closed in, but it's not big enough. Yeah. So, but I'm pricing out, looking at like a 30 by 30, which is not that big, but you can only do so much. So, I get that, but you can only do what you can do. So let's give away tonight's prize, and stickers are going to be included in that as well. So nice. Usually I say you can't enter if you already won the stickers, but we're just going to bundle this all together. So let's get ready to do this. If you're new to the live stream, the way this works in the live chat, I'm going to show a screen, and you're going to type the phrase on the live chat exactly the way you see it. And then we will do a random drawing. So we'll have a winner tonight. Again, continental U.S. and Canada are the only requirements that we have for this giveaway. All right. So here's the word.
Let them roll.
Hashtag we love GP, because we do. So
that's very kind.
In the live chat. Now, it doesn't matter if you do all caps or all lowercase or a combination, but there can be no spaces. So hashtag we love GP, however you want to put it, that's what we need you to write. Just like Chad did here from Purple Collar Life.
Well, thank you, Chad.
We love GP.
Oh, Mike. Jason. They're rocking.
My gosh. Everybody loves GP. Can you believe it, Gord?
Well, it's kind of
nice. Can you feel the
love?
Wanted
once in a while. I feel the love. That's wonderful.
Hey, Carol, if you're watching, make sure you type "We Love GP" in the live chat here.
That's right. Well, I think after the comment about me buying another bigger tractor, I'm not so sure the love's going to be flowing after I hang up tonight. I'm sure it will, though.
She'll say, well, if you love them so much, you buy them an MX, right?
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that going to be true? Hey, and whoever does win, if you can just ask them what color they want, and I imagine they'll email you their shipping information, Ed, is that correct?
That is correct. When you win tonight, you'll email. I'll put my email address up, and then you can email me with your name and your shipping address. And does it need to be a physical address? Like, is a PO box okay? Or
yeah, PO box is okay because I use Canada Post, which is your USPS. So
any mailing address would be fine.
Yeah, anything's good. I just need the mailing address and the phone number. That's all. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Gotta
Well,
like
let's
that
let them
jazz
roll in
back
here.
there.
Like that?
I do.
Got Doc Severinson and the guys are back here in the corner.
Yeah.
So we're going to let this roll in a little bit more.
All right. Got 55 entries. A whole lot of love. Gee, it must
a lot
be
of love for
Christmas.
GP. It must
There
be,
you go.
right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to hit this button here. It doesn't take long to
Thanks, Bob.
to
Got
draw
you there,
this.
Andrew. Yeah.
All right, we got 55 entries happening right now.
You see Chris's comment? He's usurping the winner. It
That he
doesn't
won't
work when
win?
you tell us, though, Chris, because now we know. Yeah. David White, great question. No, I'm actually hours away from Sandy. He's pretty far north of me.
Oh.
But super
I've talked
nice
to
guy.
Sandy. Yeah, I've talked to him about coming on the live stream. He's a busy guy, and we've not made that happen. But he has been invited because he's got a great channel there, Sawing with Sandy.
Yeah.
And he has some of the Woodland Mills products, the wood chipper that I have, and I think he has the bigger one, and of course the mill. But does great work and a fun channel.
And you saw he just got the stump grinder last week, eh?
Yes, I
Yeah,
did see
very
that.
nice.
I'd like to have one of those. All right, I'm gonna hit it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Drum roll, please.
The winner of tonight, Tony G.
Oh, Tony
Whoa,
G.
Tony
There
G.
you go.
Congratulations, man. Tony
Big
G
congrats.
is a multiple winner here. Tony G
Wow.
has won. He's won the stickers. He's won the bumper sticker. Tony G, what a lucky guy. He won the hoodie from Saw Hall.
Oh,
When we
nice.
had Kenny here from Saw Hall, Tony G
Yeah.
was the winner of the hoodie. So Tony G, whatever you've got going on there, he's got a lucky computer or whatever it is. But
There we go.
congratulations, Tony G. That's
Congrats,
exciting.
brother. Yeah, that is nice. So he'll just send you his full shipping information, what color he wants, black, gray, or orange, and then we'll get it off to him for sure.
Perfect. Tony G, shoot me an email, contactmcgtv@gmail.com, and I will forward the
Mac's
information
here.
to our
Hey, Mac.
friend Gord.
Thank you.
So, who are we talking about? Who's here?
Oh, it's about making not buying. It's Mac Uno.
Oh, good to see you.
Yeah, he was actually, believe it or not, he was
He
one
loves
of
GP
the
too.
only. Yeah, he's a super nice man. He when I was researching tractors back in 2016, 2017, he was pretty much the only YouTube channel that had a B2601.
Really?
That's how I got to know him, and that's when I subscribed before I even bought my tractor. Because you know when you're going through, you're looking at the case, you're looking at Massey Ferguson's, the John Deere's, and everything, and you're trying to find content to see these tractors in action or any type of reviews. And he was pretty much, if not the only one, that wasn't a dealer that was showing B2601 videos.
That's great. And
Yeah.
of course, I got my B2601, I think, from watching your videos. I was almost set on the L2501, the L series. And then I came across the B2601. I think I saw it at the dealer and thought, well, you know what? That's a pretty nice size. It's a little bit smaller than the L, but still horsepower-wise was in there and had some more bells and whistles, which, again, I've shared many times that I didn't need. You know, I thought that the 12-volt outlet was really cool. Like, well, I could charge my phone, but I don't think I've ever plugged into that and charged. Yeah.
That's so true. Same CLX, it's got a little shelf there. You think I've ever plugged anything in? I don't.
Yeah.
But it's nice
And
it's
then-
there if I ever do.
And then the rubber floor mat, I was like, well, that's pretty nice. And then I hate that thing because it twists under your foot every time. It's really not that well
Comes
made.
up underneath the pedal. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then my nephew has a L3301, and that's the one with the backhoe. Phil that I borrowed for planting the trees. I like it. It's supposed to be a more basic model, but it's a nice machine too. So
Yeah.
at any
Right,
rate,
Gus.
well,
Have a good sleep. Say hi to Sally.
listen, Gord, we're just wrapping up here a little after 8 p.m. So we don't want to keep you. We don't want to keep the viewers, but these conversations always go quick, and I really do appreciate it. I hope you'll come
Yeah.
back and talk to us
I had a
again
great
sometime
time.
soon.
Love to, Ed. Always a pleasure hanging out with you. You're a gentleman, and love the channel. And always, anytime, if you're lonely and you need somebody to hop on, or you miss me, or anything, just let me know. And if I can, I'd love to join. Always a good
Hashtag
time.
we love GP.
There you go. Yeah. Chain
Hashtag
locker, nice
deal.
one.
Excellent. No,
Yeah.
we're always
Thank you.
happy to have you on. I really appreciate it. So for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure that's nobody, but if you don't, go check out GP Outdoors on YouTube. Great channel.
Thank you.
Check out gpoutdoors.ca for some of those items that you might want to buy for your favorite outdoors person.
Yeah, for your loved ones.
So
That's right.
absolutely, absolutely. So, all right, my friend. Well, listen,
Thank you,
it's
folks.
Monday night. You have a great week. As I'll let you wrap this up, Gord. How do you wrap up the end of every video?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out with us tonight. I want them to have a great week with your families. Please be kind to each other. And I guess you'll see Ed again next Monday night. And I'll be
I
in the
look forward to
comments.
seeing you next time.
Cheers.